Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with the Juicy Lucy. That's right, this provocatively named burger is one of those things that doesn't really make a lot of sense until you actually make and try one. I mean, why would we bother stuffing the inside of a burger with cheese when we could just melt a slice over the top? That's going to be the same thing, right? Wrong. See, that's what I thought. But it's actually a completely different experience, and a wonderful one at that. And to get started, the first thing we're going to want to do is weigh out some ground beef. And since I want to do a 6-ounce burger, what I've done is weighed out 2 3-ounce portions. And please note, I'm using some plastic wrap underneath, which is going to make the shaping and forming a lot easier. And then what we'll do once our beef is portioned is go ahead and press that out into 2 patties, using some slightly dampened fingers. Okay, so if you're doing a bunch of these, just have a ramekin of cold water next to you, which you can keep dipping your fingers into. And that will help prevent the meat from sticking to your hands. And by the way, many Juicy Lucy recipes call for seasoning the beef before you form your patties, which is great for adding extra flavor. But I'm not a big fan of that technique because you can easily overmix the meat and get something very rubbery and tough. So what I'm going to do after these are pressed out to about a 1/4 inch thickness is season the meat, but just by applying it to the surface and not actually mashing it into the ground beef. And what I'm going to go with is a few drops of Worcestershire sauce that I'll just sort of drip on and spread around. And then after that, in order of application, we'll do some garlic powder, some freshly ground black pepper, some kosher salt, and a little pinch of cayenne. And that's it. By rubbing and sprinkling the seasonings over this way, we've hopefully avoided overworking that meat. Oh, and if you're wondering why I didn't just use some fresh crushed garlic, that is a really good question. But anyway, what we'll do once our patties have been properly pressed and seasoned is go ahead and add some cheese to the center. And I'm going to be using a slice of cheddar for this, which we're going to have to break up or cut to make it fit. And I tried a few different methods, but by far the most successful was to cut out a round piece like this. And if you don't have a pastry cutter, just use a water glass. And I discovered one of the keys to this is a perfectly even layer of cheese. Or if you're kind of breaking it up and piecing it together, that might not be the case. Plus, if you cut it out like I did, you get to eat the trimmings. And then what we'll do once that's been lightly pressed in the center is go ahead and flip one patty over the other, and then carefully go around the edge pressing those 2 patties together. And not just pressing. We're also doing a little bit of mushing and smearing. Okay, we really do want that edge nicely sealed. So once going around sealing it like this, what we'll do is flip that over and actually seal it again from the other side, just so we're not taking any chances. Otherwise, that molten cheese is going to start running out while you're cooking this, and not when we bite into it, which is when we really want it to run out. All right, so take your time and be careful with this step. I mean, you are after all the Lucy-Loo of what your Juicy Lucy's cheese will do. And like I said, if you don't seal it properly, it will run out. I mean, it may anyway, but at least we're giving ourselves a better chance. And that's it. Once we feel those patties have been sealed properly, we'll go ahead and season the outside surface with a little bit of salt. And that Juicy Lucy is ready to cook in a preheated pan, or at least that's the plan. Clearly, my cast iron skillet was not hot enough, since there was no initial sizzle. But anyway, I pressed on. And what we're going to want to do is cook this for about 4 minutes or so per side, over medium-high heat, or until we see some of the cheese starting to leak out and we get scared and we pull it out of the pan. So I gave that first side 4 minutes and went ahead and flipped it over. And because my pan wasn't hot enough to start, the food gods punished me by causing a little bit of that crust to stick to the bottom. But it really wasn't too bad. So I was thankful for their benevolence. And I went ahead and gave that other side 4 minutes. And as you know, I hate to go by times for anything, but that's sort of what we have to do here because we can't really poke this with a thermometer. Otherwise, we're going to have greasy cheese running all over the place. And because of the cheese in the center, it's also hard to tell by poking. So basically, you're going to have to experiment with times. And I'm actually going to show you 2, since 4 minutes per side, which is what this one was done to, is going to give us something very close to medium rare. But regardless, once cooked, we'll go ahead and place that on our dressed bun, which I've spread with my famous secret sauce. And for this first one, I also went with a little bit of lettuce and tomato, or as it's referred to in Minneapolis, 2 portions of vegetables. And then let me go ahead and press this together and take a bite so you can see the magic that is the Juicy Lucy. And what makes this different than just melting a slice of cheese over the top is that by having it inside, it sort of insulates the middle of the burger. And as hopefully you can see here, it really keeps everything extremely, God, what's the word I'm looking for? Moist. And of course juicy. Not to mention all that molten goodness you see flowing out is not just cheese. It's actually cheese mixed with our seasonings and fat from the burger. So believe it or not, it is quite a different experience than just your normal cheeseburger. But anyway, this was the medium rare version, which like I said went for about 4 minutes per side. And it really was magnificent. But personally, I preferred the next version, which I did for about 5 minutes per side, to get something a little closer to medium. And even though it wasn't maybe quite as juicy, I thought the overall experience was a little better. I think more of that burger fat sort of melded into the cheese. And also, by the way, I did not miss the tomato and lettuce. Oh, and for the record, even though I use cheddar, the correct official authentic cheese is American cheese, which unfortunately is illegal in San Francisco. But if you're keeping score at home, this medium sharp cheddar worked beautifully. But anyway, that's it. My take on the Juicy Lucy. My apologies to all the fine folks in Minneapolis for taking so long to figure out how great this was. And not just great to eat, but also extremely fun to say. Which is why I really do hope you give this a try soon. So head over to foodwishes.com for all the ingredient amounts and more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.